Girl, I'm trying to come and chill with you. Flip a dojin in the bed, I'm reading manga till it's 2. Tell me that you love us if I girl, I'm knowing that it's true. Cause you acting all moe and vanilla in my view. So this is for them waifus. Straight 2D flex in my life, fool. If you fuck with hentai, you my dude. Let the beat right out, keep it nice and smooth, yo. Hello? Yeah, I got a question.
Welcome to the Weeabooze, the anime podcast where some of the most unqualified people try to answer your anime questions. I'm Hunter.
Kyle Desu.
Oh, Christ. Hello. Alright, we're doing good so far. Jeremy is not here. Today, we have a fun topic. We are going to be doing setting as a character, as well as how settings kind of can define characters. So setting as a character is kind of interesting. I've got the TV trope definition here. So in most works, the setting is static, a backdrop against which the world itself is painted. The world affects the characters, but it does not interact with them. These works are different. Sometimes the setting itself is a character in the work. It interacts with the characters, reacts to what they do, almost like the settings understand the character and the character understands them. So I haven't actually ever watched One Piece, but I know that one of the best examples of this is the merry-go from One Piece.
Yeah.
So Kyle, if you want to expand on that.
Well, I just think it's cool how like a piece of architecture can be so ingrained in the plot itself. So yeah, the merry-go comes to mind. The merry-go has its own special episode. Yeah, what's up?
What is the merry-go?
It's the
That is
ship.
the boat.
What?
It's
That's
the
a
boat.
weird name for a boat.
Yep, it is.
It's merry and it goes.
But yeah, the ship is very much a character, and it does fuel the plot. Something I'm kind of jumping the gun, but Fooly Cooly came to mind when you brought up this topic because Fooly Cooly also has a piece of architecture that defines the plot or kind of pushes the plot forward, which is the giant iron, that kind of looms over the city. Iron. Have you not seen Fooly Cooly?
I've seen Fooly Cooly. Okay, the biggest thing I remember from Fooly Cooly
It's
is
big
like,
and yellow and a giant building. It's an iron.
the biggest thing I remember is a girl in the bunny suit surfing on a guitar, and I was like, this is the best thing
Yeah, I'm
I've
pretty
ever
sure
seen.
the iron was in the background of that scene.
It was hard to concentrate.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't look at a picture of Fooly Cooly without seeing it. And like it's in the
I remember the robot.
Yeah.
So there was like a guy, there was like girl with the pouty bitch face all the time. There was a moped.
I mean there's even a quote like it's the kind of the point of the show.
I mean, I didn't really get
Like
it.
Medical Mechanica's going to iron out the lines of the world and make everything uniform. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. It's a giant fucking iron.
Oh, look at that. I don't know how else to describe that than big giant iron. Okay, well, anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
So the big thing that I think...
There's been like 5 Mikasa pictures in a row.
We need to stay on topic.
But there have been like 5.
Yeah, there have been.
Okay, but what really defines, I think, settings that really kind of go to this trope of setting as a character is when you have almost like, say, Cavalry's Train, for instance, like
Right.
horrible show, but like the character will like have a pouty fit, like the train will break down until you guys you know go and repair the train or do whatever it is to make it start working again, and that's kind of what defines it as a character rather than just a back piece, like a backdrop.
Sure. I was kind of talking to Sam about this earlier, but a good way for me to understand character, to understand setting as a character is kind of rephrasing it and saying how setting defines character.
Right, that's kind of the second half of this.
Do you mind if I jump into it?
Yeah, go for it.
So I think setting can affect characters in 2 ways. It can impact them psychologically. It can make them feel, trapped or lost or alone. Or it can be more physical. We can see how a character acts within an environment. So there's their mannerisms, their attitude, things like that. And so, although this isn't set in stone, this is just how I typically see it, I feel like with each of those categories, there's one subcategory. With the psychological setting, we see that setting is causing a conflict. Therefore, it's shaping the characters. So it's like what we talked about, Fulikuli. It has this big iron. That iron is causing conflict. With Cabaneri, the train is fueling that conflict, so to speak.
Right.
And Evangelion is a good example as well. There are these angels invading, and there's the city that reflects how they survive these angel attacks.
Right, that's
And
the
these-
one where like the city is like built to capture them, and it locks down and stuff.
Right, like the city can go underground while these angel attacks occur.
right.
Then, with the more physical shows, they're just more atmospheric. It's how the setting reflects the nature of the show or the character. So examples would be like Utena, Trigun, Ping Pong, K-On! They're very, K-On! Is a good example because it's just this very floaty, it's just a school, it's just very pretty to look at. And that easygoing setting properly reflects the attitude of the show.
See, I don't necessarily agree with K-On! Because I think that show particularly is one that just happens in a school. I think that K-On! Would be just as interesting if the setting was like really didn't have anything to do with school and they all met up at like a park or something. Like, I think that show can work in different settings and give you the same feeling.
I totally agree with that. I'm just saying wherever they are, it still needs that really specific atmosphere. It can be anywhere.
Right.
It's just how they interact with the environment.
I think that's what kind of separates what is like setting, defining a character, is the idea that it can only happen in that setting.
Right.
Like, I for example, Death Note is a very bad example of setting, defining a character, because I think Death Note could have like happened anywhere. The point of that show, the reason it's interesting, is because of like the book, the actual Death Note where he writes down the names. That's what makes it interesting. So that could have happened like if Light was a prisoner that got a hold of this book. I think he could have been just as interesting if he was like, I don't know, in a rural area. It obviously did take place in a city, but I think that it could have taken place in a number of different atmospheres and given off the same effect. So I don't think that's a good example of setting, defining a character. What I think is,
if we're gonna go on Death Note, even though the whole underlying setting where like, oh, you're in this city in this day and age, whatever, like maybe that doesn't define the character, but I think there's still examples of it in Death Note, specifically like L's, not his hideout, but like his headquarters, right, where he does all of his work, where the detectives come and hang out. Once he finally invited Light into like his headquarters, that's essentially L's zone. So like the whole purpose of his headquarters was signifying his trust, and basically once L got in, he breached his trust. So I think there's still in any show there are at least elements of it.
Well, sure, but what I mean is that like I believe another couple of examples. So like Madoka Magica, like it happens in a school, but it didn't have to happen in a school at all. Like these 4 girls could have been doing any sort of activity, but the interesting part was the is it witch?
Yeah,
witch hunting. Like that was the interesting part, and the settings within that is what really made it interesting. Another one like Steins Gate happens in Akihabara. I don't think that it would have been less interesting had it happened in a different area.
Yeah.
But shows like Attack on Titan, the entire show revolves around making you feel like you have this city that's like a last bastion of hope for humanity, and that Titans have overrun the rest of the world. Like it couldn't work in a different setting. You can do like Attack on Space Titans and get the same feel.
Holy shit! Hold on, time out though. Attack on Space Titans.
I mean,
it'd be fucking
badass,
dope,
right?
You're kind of talking about Sidonia no Kishi, but whatever.
Is Sidonia the like
It's
completely
CG,
CG
yeah.
thing? Yeah, fuck that.
Okay.
And then I know, Sam, you haven't seen Shinseki Yori, but
Nope.
They build up this setting that you have like 1,000 years or something have passed since this horrible calamity where people like get psychic powers, and the first thing they do is start blowing each other's heads up, right?
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So the entire setting is built around like this, super repressed state of that, all of these catastrophes, and trying to raise up people to, not exhibit these traits where they would, kill each other. And then the last one I had was Gurren Lagann. You have I know you didn't like the show, but they had all of the characters underground, repressed again from the outside world. And then once they break through into that, you have that setting kind of defining how the characters interact with it. And I think those are much better examples than something like, Steins Gate. I love Steins Gate, but I don't think the interesting part is that it happened in Akihabara.
At this point, you still haven't watched Unlimited Blade Works, right?
I have not watched it.
Okay, so then we might have to go off the Fate Stay Night example. But you know how, like, some of them have reality marble things? Like, their movies are reality marble. That's what they call it or whatever. And then they can just bring you into their reality or into their world.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That's, like, my favorite example. Like, as soon as we started with this topic, that was the first thing I thought about. Because it's my favorite example of setting, in this case, literally being the character. Like, it actually is. So in Fate Stay Night, you have Ryder. What was it, King Napoleon or something?
No, it wasn't Napoleon. It was like Gilgamesh.
No, Gilgamesh is
his own.
Yeah, I think it was Napoleon. Ryder, guy with the horse, the chariot.
I don't remember if it was Napoleon. I don't think that's right.
Okay, what's the guy that was supposed to be really short in real life?
Napoleon.
That's Napoleon.
Yeah, no, then it
Bonaparte.
was Napoleon.
Is it? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, now
Ryder looks nothing like Napoleon Bonaparte.
That was the whole joke. Is that
that
he
is
ended
the
up,
point. Like King Arthur isn't a female. Well,
Yeah. Anyways, his whole reality marble thing is
and there's an iron in Fooly Cooly.
His whole reality marble is like when you went into his world, you were against him and all of his soldiers, and in his reality, like that's all it was. But in Unlimited Blade Works, it was so much cooler to anyone who watched it. The main character Shiro, he also gets like a reality marble where he brings you into his world. But before he gets that, which you don't know this yet, Hunter, his move is like he can basically replicate weapons. Like if he sees a weapon, he can make it himself, but it's never quite as good. And the whole show
ability.
Exactly, right? Like everything revolves around him like just barely not being good enough because all he does is replicate things. And then when he brings you into a world, it's just this vast wasteland of an infinite amount of an entire eternity's worth of failed attempts of making shit. And he goes ham. It's fucking cool. But like his world is just this desolate,
it's
helpless.
like a tribute to his failures.
Yes, it's fucking amazing. You need to watch Unlimited Blade Works, dude.
That's really interesting because that brings up, I mean, in the reality marble is a pretty good example of the settings being very pivotal to how the characters interact, and it's a real like, a lens into how that character thinks and their world.
And I think that's usually whenever you find like a really interesting setting or a really good setting, I think that's what sets them apart is a good setting plays with the characters and lets them play back. Even an example from a worse anime. Did you watch Roku no Yusha, The Six Braves? Okay. It was not good, but like I watched it. It was entertaining. Even that environment was very like the setting played with the characters where the fog rolled in and the demons came out of the fog and it would play off like the unknowingness of the people.
I see what you're getting at. I kind of disagree, but sure.
Okay, why? Do you think the setting added to the story at all, or do you just think it was the setting?
No, I don't. It was kind of like a 12 Angry Men scenario where it's just the same environment. I'm lost in this ambiguous fog. It's not really an environment. It's just foggy in a forest. But that ambiguity technically makes your point because we don't know who the killer is. So, sure, I'll agree with you.
Bad show, though. All around, not great.
So the entire show happens in a fog?
Not in a fog. It's a long story.
It's
I
pretty
just imagine
foggy.
like
It is pretty foggy. That was a good one.
that was pretty good.
Ooh. Hunter, do you remember the thing where we used to do in the car where each of us would make one noise and we would just keep making that noise and then
it would start at like a
beatbox
beat?
thing?
We had to have like 5 people though.
Yeah, I know. We can't do it right now.
But yeah, it was.
I just remembered that.
That's drink to that. I don't even know what the fuck
That's
that is.
Rin and Saber from Unlimited Blade Works.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
That's Saber?
Oh yeah, that's Saber.
It's hard to tell when she's not wearing all that armor.
God damn.
She's barely wearing anything. Oh, I'll drink to that.
It's one hell of a wallpaper. Hunter, what are we drinking tonight?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So this morning.
This morning we had a lot to drink.
What we got here? Kyle made us some whiskey sours for the first time.
They were good.
They were actually pretty good. Yeah,
Quite sour.
they were quite sour. Hence the name. And then now I was very fortunate to find at Albertsons one of my favorite brews, which is from Left Hand Brewing Company in Colorado, called the Nitro Milk Stout. Definitely one of my favorites. It's kind of a winter beer, so I'm not sure why I got it here in August or September, I guess now, but it's still a good beer.
Let me ask one more question.
Go for it.
Let me kind of reverse engineer your question. Would you say the best kind of character can fit in any setting?
No.
The best kind of character can fit into any setting?
Right.
Well,
I think
Or
that
cast of characters.
the best characters can fit in any setting.
no, I don't think so. If you take really iconic characters and put them somewhere weird, that's all it's gonna be is weird. It's gonna be like a cameo, but like an awkward cameo.
See, I don't know if I have an answer to this question, but I think it might be yes. Because what comes to mind is Lupin. Like, the cast of Lupin characters are iconic. The reason Lupin can run for so long is because they've been everywhere. They've been all over the world. They've been to, different universes, basically.
But isn't that kind of the quirk or like the lovability of the character? The same way but the Scooby-Doo in the gang could be anywhere.
Right. And I'm saying, does that make Scooby-Doo like the perfect type of show? Or Lupin the perfect type of show? Because they're so versatile.
A positive piece of a show, but it doesn't necessarily make the best show.
Okay.
I think that Full Metal Alchemist, the characters
That's what I was thinking of, yeah.
They go to a ton of different places. Like they go to the different
But it's all their
Northeast, South, and
universe.
West.
Right.
If
It
you
ties
take
in.
them,
It ties in with world building.
yeah,
It's so cohesive.
exactly. If you take
You
Having
can't
them in
tear them
different
apart.
settings in their world, yes, that makes sense. Like having
Yeah.
a diverse piece of when you actually manufacture the world correctly. Like, again, I'm gonna use a video game for this, but I think that Halo made a really cool world. Like that, they have the ring, and they can have all sorts of different environments and areas within this, and it all makes sense within the game because they built the world from the ground up to, make sense with that. But if you took the cast of some really niche kind of show,
I mean, if you saw Alphonse in Steins Gate, you'd be like, all right, so that's kind of fucking weird, right, guys?
yeah, it'd be weird to see the cast of Full Metal Alchemist in a modern city.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think it's that every setting works, but I do agree that good characters can work in a variety of different areas within their own world. But that almost gets into a different topic that you have to, build your world.
Well, that's
whatever
why
world
that's
their
why I
characters live
see
in.
setting as its own character, because
Okay.
it's just another part. It's just another piece of the world, the universe that you're creating.
Okay. I like that tie-in. So with that, let's answer a few questions before we get into what we're watching.
Got some questions? Go for it.
An anonymous user asks, what would you guys like to see more of in anime? And if you could... Okay, the second part of this question is probably going to be an episode in and of itself, so let's skip that. But they do ask, and if we could make your perfect anime, what would it look like?
Oh, man.
Let's put that aside.
Yeah,
So
that's
for now...
Next episode ideas.
Yeah, not next, but eventually.
Next episode ideas.
So what would you like to see more of in anime?
What would I like to see more of in anime? This might not be what you had in mind as an answer. I'd love it if more anime just released all of their episodes at once.
Well, that happened with Real Life.
I know, I want more of
But
it.
it didn't happen
Keep
with Mob
do-
Psycho 100.
keep doing
and
that.
that's
It
the
did not.
problem.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I think that'd be sick.
That would be neat. That'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind one thing per season.
Oh yeah, that'd be super cool.
Yeah, I like that. For me, I would just like to see more risk, more individuality. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Even if someone tries something new and they fail, I'd much rather see that than the same moe type of shows over and over again. Or I just like, that's why I like Masaki Yuasa so much. He did Ping Pong and everything else. I'm blanking on names, but Tatami Galaxy, they're just way out there.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff.
What's that art style called? And this might not really have anything to do with this, but it's where it's drawn but not really. They use live actors.
Rotoscoped.
Rotoscoped. Would you... Oh, wait, are there any rotoscoped anime? Mm-hmm. Are they good?
Yeah, fantastic. You wouldn't like the way they look, but I think they're amazing.
Well, no, I've seen some rotoscoped stuff that I liked.
Yeah. Aku no Hana, Flower of Evil.
Okay.
I have it. We can watch it. It's fantastic.
Dope. Next Friday.
No, Hana.
We'll see. Aku no Hana, yeah. Hunter, do you want to see something specific in anime more?
Something I want to see more of? I mean, the only thing I can specifically think of is just more stuff from Kyoto Animation.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's all so pretty looking.
You're gonna like their new movie.
Do they have a new movie?
It's I forget what it's called. The Silent Voice or something like that. It's about a deaf girl and a boy.
Say what you
I showed
want
you
about
the
deaf
trailer.
people.
What? Oh well, yeah. You got me there. Okay, one more question from Lalalaco. They ask, dubs versus subs, which is better and why? Some people actually prefer dubs, even though they're poop. Believe it or not, in my opinion, dubs lack in the acting part of voice acting compared to the original Japanese voice acting. It just seems so much less sincere. What are the best and worst dubs you've seen, if any? And what are some series you think have outstanding Japanese voice acting, if any?
Fuck yes to this question and everything you said. Hunter and I have had this debate for like ever.
Dude, it comes
Sub.
down.
All day,
It
every
comes
day,
down to
sub.
what show you're watching.
There are so few good dubs. I don't even think it's opinion or not. Like, I don't see how you can listen to a dub and then listen to the sub and be like, oh yeah, the dub's better. Fuck no, it's so much worse always.
Always?
Always. There are few and far between exceptions. I'll give you that. The best I'd give most dubs, though, is bearable.
Okay, so I think that there are a couple shows that come to mind. I already have 3 examples of
Name
shows
one.
where the dub is better than the sub.
I wouldn't say better, but it's good.
No, better.
Name one
better.
Okay,
where
what
it's
are
better.
they? What are they?
Don't say
Cowboy
Bebop.
Bebop.
God damn it.
Cowboy Bebop has a better dub than it does have a sub.
Not better. I'd say they're on par.
Okay.
Same with Samurai Champloo.
No.
No, I also
Really?
disagree.
And then the last one is Afro Samurai because you just you
Uh,
can't.
That's practically a cartoon.
It plays off of his voice, though. It's Samuel L., bro. Like,
That I mean, it works for him, doesn't it?
yeah, okay, that's whatever. I'll give you that one.
One I'll give
okay?
you, Gurren Lagann. The sub is better than the dub.
You can just
Then-
keep rattling off names of anime because the
liked,
sub will be better than the dub
I think
most
that
of the time.
Steins Gate, both the sub and the dub were on par with one another because I think they both actually kind of played off it and they made like the sub has jokes where he's like speaking English poorly, and then the dub
bitch.
and then the dub has like him has the joke where he's just like talking like a rapper or something and being
Yeah.
like really racist, like jive
Sure.
talk.
Yeah.
Who asked the question again?
Lalalaco.
Lala. You mentioned the like actual voice acting, like the quality of acting. That's the reason why I prefer sub to a dub, is because even though like you have to read it and maybe reading it takes you out of the zone, it doesn't for me, but that's like an argument you see a lot. For me, even though I can't understand the words, you don't have to understand the word to like feel emotion
Right.
from the way something
I think
is
part
said.
of it is because none of us understand Japanese.
Right.
We don't know if it's shitty or not. It always sounds really good.
Well, okay, here's my opinion. I can't justify dubs for any other reason aside from someone being dyslexic. If you have a hard time reading, then sure, then listen to the dub.
You just said you literally have to be sick
dyslexic.
to enjoy
Have a
text.
reading disability.
Okay, it's fine. You literally have to be disabled to enjoy dub.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I feel like that's a perfectly viable reason. Because I watched an interview with Makoto Shinkai and about it was Children Who Trace Lost Voices. He was talking about the dubbed version. And he's like, as soon as it gets to the dubs, it's out of my hands. I cannot direct the voice acting because I do not understand the intricacies of the American language. So it's not even from the director's mind anymore. It's just out of his hand. He doesn't care.
You're getting
specifically Makoto Shinkai though.
But that's
No,
all
it
Japanese,
happens with
Japanese
everything.
directors.
There's a lot of anime that do this. I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball Z just because I know most about it. They changed Dragon Ball Z from the Japanese version so fucking much, and people didn't realize it unless you'd seen the Japanese version, which is why they came back years, like a decade later, and they were like, hold on, let's make Dragon Ball Kai or Dragon Ball Z Kai, whatever it's called, to make it more like the Japanese version, because when you get an English version, and I know there are examples that aren't always true to this, but one, they censor it a little bit more, like they just do. And two, there are certain phrases and like things that can't be explained in English. Like there are certain words that like we just don't have. So you change the dialogue between characters and you lose essentially a sense of who the character is. Like it literally just is a watered down version of...
Exactly. And this kind of ties into our topic that we did previously about adaptations. And like whenever you adapt one medium to another, or if you adapt something from Japanese into English, you lose content.
Even if you're close.
But what I mean, so you're saying that the translation could be off, but it's going to be off whether it's written or whether it's spoken. Like that doesn't change whether the translation's off or not. I'm saying that there are certain I agree with you in the most point. I mean, we only watch subs, and like I enjoy watching subs, especially since I don't even have the dub option anymore if I'm watching current anime. Like it's, I had to get used to it, and I like it now. But the thing is, I do think that there are, a couple shining examples of the dub being better than the sub.
Okay.
And I do think that there are some that are on par with one another. That's like the crux of the argument. That's it. I agree for, like 95% of stuff. But I think that saying all is like a little bit ignorant.
All right.
Okay. We're running a little long, so let's get into what we're watching.
Okay. I got Mob Psycho fever. I watched the third episode and I was like, all right, this shit's pretty cool.
Really? I've only watched the first two.
Right, so in
You
the
need to
third
get to
one,
3.
that little timer hits 100 for the first time.
I think it hit like 40 at the end of
Yeah.
number 2.
Right, so that timer hits 100. You see everything. You learn so much about the character.
Is it kind of like the trailer where like shit just literally goes white, like he blows out the color on the screen?
That is a little
Essentially.
bit of a stylistic choice because they'll edit the anime frames into the actual manga frames that one has drawn.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's I think that's what's up with the white kind of like blow out
Yeah.
the color thing. But yes, that does happen, but it doesn't only happen. Like that happens in
Sure.
multiple.
But yeah,
animes.
earlier in the week, I saw the newest episode 8, and I texted Hunter. I'm like, you should probably catch up with Mob Psycho.
And at that point, I was already like halfway through episode 6 because I watched 3 and I was like, this is really cool, and I watched 4 and 5. I really like the Teraku guy.
I don't remember names.
The blonde guy with
The giant hair.
the giant hair guy. Yeah, he was an interesting addition to the show, and I also kind of started liking Reagan.
Yeah.
Just because he's like, I don't know. The first episode kind of drew him in a bad light because, you see that he actually does kind of care about Mob, and he
Right.
goes out of his way.
I'm glad you see that change.
Yeah.
Right. The first couple episodes, it was just like
He's
all
just
right.
using him.
Yeah, it's just like it's really
Yeah,
obvious what's
that
happening
episode
here.
8 was so cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people expected. Like,
Really?
from the hype, everyone was wondering why it was getting so much, excitement around it. And they're like, okay, psychic kids, but they're not fighting. What's going on? And so finally we get to see that. So that was awesome.
Well, I really like the thing where you see him like put his hand on the shoulder, and then you see the little thing at the bottom of his little like meter just like like going up really, really
Yeah,
fast. And you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down right now.
That's cool. It's a cool way to build tension, that meter.
Also, I like, as weird as it sounds, the theme song, I thought it was going to be so lame because
It's counting.
yeah, it's literally counting. It's like 1,
Dude.
2,
And then they
3,
skip
4.
to like 20. They like skip 7 at a time.
Well, it's because it's opening. There's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
full song is out. You can listen to it.
Does it really count all the way up?
Yeah.
But I like, that could have been so cheeseball.
No,
But
they
it ended up being really, really cool.
Have you read the manga?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to ask how they do the meter in the manga. Because I feel like it'd be, like you were saying, it's a really cool way to build tension in the show. But I wonder how they
same
keep
thing.
that
This
tension.
is, anyway, I think in the manga, it's the same thing. It'll be like
A frame.
Yeah, a full page or something. This is like progress toward
Yeah.
explosion.
Ooh, a full page. I didn't think about that. That's sick.
But I was right. Last time I guessed, I was like, I think we're going to see different emotions come out. And the first one I said, do you remember what it was?
I don't.
It was sadness.
Oh yeah.
So I was pretty close there.
That fucking look you just gave. Sadness. Slowly lower your jaw.
So I'm happy with my profit abilities in that regard.
Well,
it's good.
yeah. It's funny. I was actually gonna start talking about how I'm kind of losing interest in 91 Days. And just before we recorded, I watched the newest episode, and it had a really amazing ending part to it. I'm still not loving, like, really into it, but it has its moments.
What about Taboo Tattoo?
Oh, that's garbage. I love it. I mean, it's fun, but it's
Garbage?
trash.
Okay. Then
Has your opinion changed on anything you've watched thus far?
Just 91 Days for the most part. I'm not really interested in it. It's actually kind of boring at parts, but it had a very, oh geez, this potential spoilers mute for like 5 seconds. It had like a very there will be blood type feeling to it. If you've seen that movie.
Nope.
I haven't.
I've heard about it. Though.
Great, I didn't spoil anything for you guys.
Cool.
So
Then the most recent episode, it must not have been all that impactful. Oh yes, okay, yes. We have
oh, ReZero.
yeah. We have 2 cars going at it. Dodge Ram and a Subaru.
Oh yeah, totally. Why am I blanking on what happened?
At the very end, you see him so he's with everybody. He goes up to talk to
Oh
Julie,
yeah,
and then it's like white out
yeah.
snow.
Sam's plugging his ears. That's fine. We're
Right.
not really talking about too much spoiler stuff, but
that was interesting.
It was
way to
interesting. I
end
don't
the
really know.
episode. I have no idea what's gonna happen there, but I
Yeah.
am glad our boy Toyota didn't instantly fuck up everything at the very beginning
Right.
of the episode.
I'm getting a little worried about my own opinion on it, which is I know I'm enjoying it now, but I feel like once it's over, I might be indifferent. So we'll see. And I think we might talk about something related to that, being like how anime is meant to be watched weekly nowadays compared to binge watching. I'd like to talk about that because Sam and I were you were mentioning that you like
I love binge.
to binge
binging.
almost solely binge watch stuff.
Yeah.
So we might talk about that later. Sam, I think I sent you some names.
You did. List of names of people who retweeted and shared our podcast with others. We've got Use Some Common Sense, Parvcore, Hardcore Parvcore, Max Mice, Bravado Bravo, Zetsu Bones, and the Frosty Knight. Some reoccurring names, some new ones. Thank you all, as always.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. So please keep sending us questions and episode topics or comments on what you want to see us improve on or do something differently. If you want to give us more drinking rules, if you want us to do like a game of some sort, we're open to any ideas whatsoever.
Any feedback, just even if it's you guys kind of suck.
Yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be something to improve on.
Yeah.
Just hearing,
Audio
any sort
quality, maybe. I don't know. I'm doing what I can. We share a mic. It's tough, but
or if we ramble or something, or you want to see a different kind of, maybe a slight change in format, anything.
yeah, live action.
Live action. We could do a webcast.
Totally. I don't know how we do that. We'll figure it out. Anyways, So you can send us questions at theweeabooze on Twitter and on gmail.com, and also at Secret Otaku on Tumblr. Also, you can reblog our episode. That really helps us get the listeners in. And we haven't gotten any more iTunes reviews. I know almost the majority of our fans listen on SoundCloud, which is totally fine. But if you have the time,
We're up to like 40-something followers.
Yeah,
on
and that's
SoundCloud,
really
which is
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to give us an iTunes review, that'd be sick. And we want to thank Hentai Dude for our intro music and Kid Boo for our outro music. And like always, get
Drunk and
anime. See you guys next
later.
week.
Peace.
You can catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit. Catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit.